Awakening with Brahma Kumaris.
Om Shanti and a very warm welcome to Awakening with Brahma Kumaris. With times it becomes easier and much more comfortable to say Om Shanti because that's the realization of who am I. I am that beautiful, pure, loving, peaceful, happy soul. And I am the master. The relationship with my own self is becoming stronger. From here, there's another journey, another tangent to my life. Let's go ahead. And it's again our privilege. In this whole journey, we have Brahma Kumaris Sr Jayanti, who is the European Director of Brahma Kumaris and also the NGO representative at United Nations in Geneva. Namaskar, Sister Jayanti. A very warm welcome.
Namaskar, Om Shanti.
We're very thankful to you to have introduced our own self. And now the relationship with my own self is becoming much more stronger. But what I've heard all my life, we've all been hearing about it, the moment we understand who am I, the journey towards that Supreme Soul becomes much easier. But still, I don't know who He is. He is a nature, He is a God, He is that energy, He is where I'm going to find Him. He's that divine soul. Because that's what I've been hearing, all my life. The moment the self-awareness comes, the journey towards God becomes easier. Is it the truth?
I believe so. I believe that both things are very closely linked together in the sense that where my identification was with the body and it was just the consciousness of the body becomes a barrier, a wall between me and the Creator, the Divine. And when I step above that barrier and I come back to that consciousness of my eternal identity as a soul, it's as if my heart opens up, my eyes open, and I can begin to see the Supreme, I can begin to feel that presence, and that being then enters my life.
I want to ask before we go ahead is that there are a lot of questions. One is, does He really exist?
I don't think I can prove either the existence of the soul or the existence of God to anyone. I don't think that that's possible. I think that people can listen, think about it, and come to their own conclusions. And some people will say, well, this makes sense. Let me try and experiment with it. And if they begin to experiment, then for sure the door of experience opens and that's destiny.
That's what I'm saying. We've tried everything, This can be another, effort actually. Even the soul consciousness, what we talked, let's assume that I'm the soul. Mm-hmm. Then if we are through these experiments, if we are able to experience, maybe not the energy, the feeling of that energy, it hasn't come to me, but I can feel the happiness and the serenity within me. Mm-hmm. That is something, that experience makes me realize that yes, it is true. So with that consciousness, we move forward to this theory of, actually, because we have tried, I think all of us have tried to ask a question, who He is. We've tried everywhere. And of course, a relationship, a direct relationship is like, I can't even think of, because it's, I don't know.
Let's assume that the information about the soul is valid, that the soul is real, it exists, and it's a being of light. And everything is contained within this infinitesimal point of light. Let's take it a step further. I'm a soul, you're a soul, and yes, our original qualities are the same, but the combination of these qualities and the manifestation of these qualities in our lives for every single individual on the planet, absolutely every single one of the billions of souls is different. And so no two lives are the same, no two people are the same, and certainly two souls don't have the combination of those qualities in their total perfect form in the same way. But when you see a whole variation, then it's a very simple assumption that there's a soul that has these qualities to a very minimal degree, and there might be a soul that has these qualities to a maximum extent. Now, that soul who has all these qualities, plus many more that we haven't mentioned, but one who has all of these qualities to their absolute extent, to that being we give the name the Supreme. The Hindi words are very relevant here. We use the word Atma, and we use the word Param Atma, Supreme Soul. When we use the word Atma, you can have many prefixes to that. Pap Atma, Punya Atma, Dharam Atma, Mahan Atma, Deva Atma. And each will describe the different degrees of purity and elevation of that soul. And you will always use the words in plural. It's not just one soul, it's Atmai, many souls. You would say Punya Atmai, Dev Atmai, Dharam Atmai. So all of these have their plural. But when you say Param Atma, it's one.
It's always Paramatma.
It's one.
Yeah.
There can never be Param
Yeah.
Atmai. By definition, Supreme is one. Many can be superior or higher, but you can't have many who are the Supreme. And so our Hindi language actually tells us there is one who is Param Atma. And why that one soul is Param is because all the other souls go through their different stages. The descriptions that I gave you earlier. One day I can be Papatma, but if I have realization and transformation, I can become Punyatma. I can become a Dharamatma. Someone can even maybe become a Mahanatma. And definitely, our scriptures tell us that from Manush Atma to Dev Atma, from a human soul to a deity soul, is possible. It simply means that I let go of my ignorance and my negativity, and I allow that original divinity within the self to emerge again. So Dev Atma and many Devtas, that's been something we understand. But one who is Param Atma. So for me, the understanding of God is very simple, not a mystery. It doesn't involve a huge leap of faith or mysticism or mumbo jumbo, nothing. Just as I am Atma and I am a being of light. I can't see myself with these eyes, but I can know myself, I can realize myself. In the same way, Param Atma is also Atma, infinitesimal, a being of light. And yet within that point of light is everything. There's an ocean, infinite love, absolute peace, perfect truth, total purity, and the state of bliss forever. And so I've just mentioned 5 of the qualities of God, but Islam will say there's 99 qualities of God. Hinduism will say that you can keep writing with all the quills made from the trees of the planet and you still won't be able to write all his praise. So the praise of God is amazing. But yet, God is also Param Atma, the Supreme Soul, a being of light, a point of light.
Okay, so the way I exist as a soul, but I am a human being. So it's like it's also a being, a source of light or a point of light.
Yeah, but as a human being, I, the soul, have taken on birth in a human form, in a human body. And then the next thing that happened was that when I entered this body, the body took over, matter took over, and I forgot myself. The 2 things that are different with God is that God is beyond birth and death. So God never enters a human body. And for that reason, God never comes into a state of forgetting or ignorance.
Okay.
And so this is why God is the constant being, the reservoir, the anchor, the one who always, always has wisdom and truth and always has peace and love, which means as we go through our journey and we become dirty and accumulate all sorts of rubbish, how are we going to get clean? Now, this is where God's role comes in. That God's role is there to serve us at a time when there is a need. And this is the description that comes in many of the scriptures, that God helps us at a time when nobody else can help us at all. And so I see God as first the mother and then the father, in the sense that if a child has fallen and has become dirty, it tends to be, it's not necessarily so, but it's still in today's world, it tends to be the mother who will actually pick up the child and say, okay, doesn't matter how dirty you are, but she'll pick up the child and she'll go clean the child. And when the child is clean and presentable, then the child comes to the father. And the father, of course, will give love, and the father has a great inheritance and property to give. But the first relationship, even in fact in terms of human journey, the first connection in the womb is with the mother. And then when the child is born, then the child sees the father. But the birth with the mother is prenatal. In the same way, it's like, even though we forget ourselves, God doesn't forget us, because God's memory is total, perfect, without forget. And so certainly God knows me in a very personal way. And through our lives, God helps us and protects us, and we don't even always recognize God and acknowledge God. But God continues with that task of helping us all the time.
Can I recognize God? This is one thing, Can I really, accepting, understanding? Because first is acceptance of who am I. The moment I realize that I am not this one, I am a being. Then, of course, the Supreme Soul is again a soul. And the way you said, it's like beautiful if I really look at it that way. But can I recognize Him?
If I start practicing just with this simple understanding that I'm a soul, a point of light, now let me direct my thoughts to the Supreme, the being of light. And as I send my thoughts out to God, I begin to focus and concentrate, and I begin to meditate on the being who is God. As I make that connection through my mind, then I begin to receive the return of that connection. And the experience that I have of peace and love makes me aware that there is someone out there.
But then if He's there, if He knows me, the way you said that He knows every being, then how can He let me be in so much pain? Or another question is, why is He giving me pain? This is the question which I think most of us really want to know. See, they get angry. We are angry with God. Why is He giving me so much of pain then? Or even if He's not giving, I am in pain. Why is He not taking away the pain?
Okay. A relationship is a two-way process. And I have to be open to receive whatever it is that God wants to give me. And so often we shut ourselves off from all communication. If I have a radio transmitter, that transmitter is sending its message out everywhere. But some people will have their receiver tuned to the right frequency, and they'll say, the message is reaching me loud and clear, no problem. Somebody else has got their set tuned to another frequency, somebody to another and another and another and another. And so everybody is all around, but then they're saying, we can't hear anything, we don't catch any message, maybe there's a transmission or maybe there's not. We're not catching anything. But what it needs is that fine-tuning. And if they were to do that fine-tuning, then they would catch the message. And so that's the story, that we're receivers, and God is the one who's transmitting that purity, peace, and love. But if my headspace is caught up in my own pain, you see, when we're in pain, we're too locked into our limited self, and we're not able to see the bigger picture. We're not able to see what is it that has happened that has led us to that situation. In everything, there has to be cause and effect. I'm seeing the effect, but I don't have the far-sighted vision to see what were the causes that led to this. And so I attack. This is human nature today, that something's gone wrong, and I won't take responsibility for it myself. I'll say, who's the scapegoat? This one, this one, this one, this one. And so we'll blame our parents, we'll blame our children, we'll blame God, we'll blame the government, we'll blame everyone, except realizing that my world is of my creation. God is the ocean of peace, the bestower of salvation. So how is it possible for God to give me sorrow and pain?
That's what the question is.
It doesn't compute.
It can't,
No.
If He will also give me pain and unhappiness, then why do I have to go to the, I'm getting it from everywhere else, actually.
It's enough.
Yeah.
I don't need God to join in the story.
No, but then God is there. But it is to be experienced.
Yes, so this is why I think that if I allow myself to be soul conscious and take my mind away from the material world and the body, by focusing my mind on I, the highest being, and those original natural qualities, then my mind is tuned to be able to receive the message from God and the qualities of God. And in that connection, we describe it as yoga, union between the self and the supreme, Raj Yoga. Earlier I described Raj Yoga as being the mastery over the self, which is a fact. But now I want to describe Raj Yoga as the highest of all yogas, because it is yoga with the one who is the highest of all, the sovereign of the universe, the Lord of the universe. And so Raj Yoga means connection with the highest, so it means taking my mind beyond all these things of limitations and connecting with God, so that then from God I'm able to receive. There's been very interesting research done, in particular in the last 20 years, outside of India usually. Inside of India there's probably a lot of other research that's happened, but I'm not so aware of it. But abroad there's been a lot of research in what's called the NDE, the near-death experience.
Yeah, we've experienced.
Right?
We've
So you're
talked
familiar
about,
with
yeah,
it.
yeah.
You might have talked about it. So the description of the departure of the soul from the body, going through the tunnel of darkness, then the whole image of experiences flashing on the screen of the mind, then at the end of the dark tunnel, this light. And the light isn't this electricity, but the light is the light of love. And it's unconditional love. It's non-judgmental love. It's a beautiful experience that people want to stay away from the body. They don't want to come back.
They don't want to come back. I have read that, and then they become much better, when they come back.
That's right.
And much more comfortable with themselves.
So when they come back for whatever reason, nowadays we have resuscitation techniques, we have modern technology, and so the soul actually does come back. And then on another level you could say, well, the karma wasn't yet finished. But anyway, it comes back and that person is transformed. They're not afraid of death. They don't want to live a selfish life for their own comfort anymore. They want their life to be of service to others. they're very different people. There's a transformation. And I'm not talking about all of us having that near-death experience, but two things in particular. That process of detaching from the body doesn't have to happen through a death experience. It can happen through a change of consciousness, in which one moment I'm just body conscious, and the next moment I'm aware of the soul. And so I detach from the body. And in that state, then, yes, God as the being of light, I'm able to connect with God. And when I've been talking about God, that's what I've been talking about, this being of light. The light of love, the light of purity, the light of truth, a light that gives us empowerment, a light that's able to uplift us and transform us and heal us. That is God's light. So I think that there's quite a lot of evidence, if people want to believe it, that God is not a special human being or a superman or a superwoman. God is not a divine being with 8 arms and 6 legs or any of these other images that we sometimes see. But Param Atma is that Atma, the soul that is supreme, Param. And so supreme in all qualifications. So God, the being, is just a form of light. But the immensity of the qualifications of God are infinite. Love without end, peace to which there's no limit, absolute truth.
This is what we've all been hearing, but then a lot of confusions, a lot of different things which we've been brought up with. Who is God, where to find Him. So God being that supreme soul, that point of light, who has immense qualities, who is an ocean of peace and love,
Right.
the way you said. Can I have a relationship with him or her? Can I have Can I have a real relationship? Can I find him? You said I can. When you said that if your frequencies is tuned at the right time, how it will happen? Because the time is now to move over to that meditation aspect of our episode. But in the next episode, we'll definitely going to ask you that how I can actually tune my frequency to his frequency and how the relationship can be developed.
I think every soul has a right to the experience of a relationship with their parent. How can it be anything else? But if the child is a little bit wayward and says, I don't want to be with my parents, I want to be out there and knock around, what can a parent do?
I think that one of the ways is going to be meditation.
It is definitely turning my attention towards somebody, focusing on somebody, means I begin to develop a connection with them and I begin to know them and relate to them. Same thing. What we do is tune our mind towards God, thinking the right thoughts. And shall we begin now?
Yeah, sure.
Aware of the soul, I detach from the world outside and even the body itself. And I turn my thoughts to the Supreme Soul, the being of light, a light which is a light of love. And as I connect my thoughts with the Supreme, I find myself surrounded by this light. And the light envelops me. And I'm absorbed into the ocean of love. as the waves of God's love wash over me, I can feel all the dust that I've accumulated being cleansed. I discover my own pure self. The power of God's love uplifts me so that I'm able to have hope for myself. I'm able to have faith in myself. God's love empowers me. I know that I can return to that original pure state of divinity. God's love uplifts me. God's love heals the soul. And the pain and sorrow that I've been carrying is removed. I stay in this awareness of being lost in the ocean of love. And I come back filled and transformed by this love. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Sister Jayanti. It was a beautiful experience. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
We were introduced to ourselves, and now the introduction to God. We've looked for Him everywhere. But now we understand, if I'm a soul, He is a supreme soul. Again, a point of light, but with immense qualities. He's an ocean of happiness, love, serenity, peace, purity. And I can have a relationship with Him, a dynamic, living relationship. What kind of a relationship would you like? We'll wait for your queries, for your questions. You can always call in or send us a mail.
If you wish to discuss your problem or have a question to ask or want to know your nearest Raj Yoga Meditation Center, call us on 099 99 744 555.
So, in the coming episode, the relationship with God can be achieved. How? Just wait. Till then, have a peaceful and loving relationship with everyone around and with yourself. Awakening with Brahma Kumaris will be back. Take care.
Om Shanti Om.